The Labour Minister Thulas Nxesi is set to visit the site of the collapsed building in George in the Western Cape. Emergency crews this hour continue their search for survivors. Officials say there were 81 people working on the building that collapsed on Monday and not 75 as previously reported. So it means 44 people still remain unaccounted for and 8 others have now been confirmed dead. This 5-storey building on Victoria Street collapsed within seconds, reducing the structure to rubble.
The Garden Route District Joint Operational Centre established for the Victoria Street building site collapse has updated the figure for those present on site at the time of the incident on Monday, the 6th of May. This follows intensive discussions and scrutinisation of the safety records with the responsible contractors. The contractor has now confirmed that the number of workers on site at the time of collapse was 81. The total number on site at the time of incident, 81. Patients retrieved, 37. Patients deceased, 8. Patients critical, 16. Patients life-threatening injuries, 6. Patients minor injuries, 7. And this leaves us with 44 persons unaccounted for.
The Western Cape government says those responsible could face criminal charges.
To be honest with you, there's a lot of now experts that look at footage and tell you what has happened. I'm going to say that we need to wait for the report in writing so nobody can duck out, because obviously this will end up in court. This will be criminal investigation, criminal case, and people, what is important, I think, is that we won't leave any stone untouched to get to the truth and help people accountable.
And our Sipha Kema is there and talks to us now. Sipha, good morning. We spoke a short time ago and we saw some of those demolition crews beginning to move in. What's the latest on the operation that's happening just behind you?
Well, right now, Iman, I'm sure you can hear it is a bit quieter. That's because the machines have actually switched off. But now what they've done is they've brought in the K9 services, where we saw some of those rescue teams actually sliding inside a tiny hole inside there, and the dogs also being let loose just to have a sniff around after they managed to actually create a layer and get to the next layer underneath that slab that was on top. But we're still waiting to hear what exactly the team is going to find there. We have not received any confirmation or alert as of yet, so they are still continuing with the search and rescue mission. And of course, we also know that time is ticking, and by just after 2 today, it would be the 72 hours that was actually given by the head of disaster management in the Western Cape, Colin Diner there. But of course, we are anticipating now and waiting for that presser that's going to be led by the Minister of Labour, Thulas Nxesi, at 12 o'clock today, because there are various questions that, the media would like to ask him and talk to him about. But of course, just with the investigation mostly, Iman, because we do understand, of course, that the most part that they will be focusing on are the labor-related issues.
And I'm sure that he's going to face a barrage of questions, Sipha, because as we heard from one expert last night who is a safety advisor and actually works on projects like these and was a senior member of the CIDB, it is up to the Labour Department in issues where there are private building construction projects being undertaken to go and do some of those inspections. The question is, was an inspection done on this project pending, I think, over the last 2 years or so, and then going live last year? Were all of the safety checks, were all of the regulations followed at every step of the way? And to the point of where this number of those who might have been involved has now increased, where were the register of workers, the confirmed register of workers? And is it, as some people say, people just being plucked from the streets, working a daily rate as labourers without any training? in a sector where occupational health and safety is paramount. So certainly the minister's feet was, likely to be held to the fire later on in that news conference. But as you say, we've moved into this really grim section of the search and recovery or search and rescue operation with those sniffer dogs going in. Is there anything you can tell us, Sipha, about the families at this hour?
I think first, Iman, let me just touch on what you mentioned earlier on regarding the Department of Labour and the labour inspectors, and of course ensuring that there was inspection conducted on site. Now, we asked some of these questions on Tuesday at that presser that was led by Alan Windy. We asked the first the important part was the building inspection, which the municipality said that there was a pre-evaluation that was conducted, and then they were going to return once the building was finished or finalized or ready for occupation, and then issue out a health and safety certificate after when the building was completed. Now, as far as the labor practices of the company, that is questions. Those are questions that we will be asking, and those are questions that, we would have hoped and liked to ask the company, but of course they're not talking to the media at this stage, just issuing a statement. But those are the questions that we're going to ask, because I'm sure that the labor inspectors have been in communication with the company during this investigation, because finding that there were several other employees that were unaccounted for 4 days, and then the remaining number went up 4 days later. That speaks to the register. It speaks to the paper, as well as employment. The payments that were being made by this company to these employees. But also, we spoke to one father who says his 18-year-old son, was working on site, does not have a work permit. So those are the issues that we will be asking the Minister of Labour as per their investigation. What have they found out from the contractors regarding the labour practices of this company? Because as you mentioned that there have been talks of whether or not people were plucked from the street, or were the contractors, or rather the workers here, qualified to even do this job right now?
Sipha, we'll leave it there for now. And this is a story that's being told minute by minute, hour by hour. As you say, that 72-hour period of expiration is looming. 2 o'clock today, typically there would be the reduction in hope for the recovery of anyone, or the retrieving or the location of anyone alive. It was interesting, though, to listen to Imtiaz Suleiman from Gift of the Givers and some of the other experts on the scene yesterday, saying that, there have been situations, dire situations, where still survivors have been found, days after a cataclysmic event similar to this one. So the families, no doubt, today still living in hope, while others are already beginning to make peace with the fact that they may not see their loved ones alive.